Hello and welcome to the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Today is Friday, December 1st, 2023. I'm about to head outside and brave the elements, but I couldn't do so before addressing this amazing, dramatic, astonishingly awesome day in the stock market for shares of Stronghold Digital Mining. Up 23.5%, 922,000 shares traded. More than that, actually, almost a million shares traded. Up about 98 cents today alone. This, I believe, is but the beginning of a process that's going to play out not over the next couple of days, but probably over the course of the next several weeks, if not months. We are going to see Bitcoin prices that are higher and higher and higher. Right now, we are closing in on $40,000 a coin for Bitcoin, right? $40,000 per coin. Shares of Stronghold Digital Mining closing at $5.15 a share. I think in the after hours market, it might have been a bit higher. After hours is really volatile and kind of crazy. You can't really go by that too much. But $5.15 a share. Listen, Chase White over at Compass Point Research and Trading has a price target, a recent price target of $17 a share for Stronghold Digital Mining. Let that sink in for a second. $17 a share. We're at $5 a share, basically. So we've got a long way to go. From my perspective, shares of Stronghold Digital Mining are obscenely cheap and will remain obscenely cheap, basically at anything under $25 a share. That's just my opinion. Okay, so we've got a long way to go. In fact, if this stock were to trade up to $15 a share tomorrow, I think at that juncture, at a bare minimum, we'd pretty much be then trading at something that resembles the valuation of a company that's not believed to be on the precipice of bankruptcy. You know, we've been trading at levels that are so depressed, that are so just dislocated from our, Bitcoin mining peers that one would assume, right? If you didn't know any better, you think, oh yeah, they must be in bankruptcy. They're just kind of like, shuffling along, waiting for the liquidation to take place, right? But that's, that couldn't even be, that's like the furthest thing from the truth. I mean, the reality is shares of this company are, from my perspective, shockingly, obscenely undervalued. And I think we're going to start to see the market slowly close that gap. And you know what? To be fair, I think the market, as it relates to shares of Stronghold Digital Mining, is in a show me phase, right? Don't tell me, show me. So we're going to have to show some results from our carbon capture field test. And we're going to be doing that on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. There's a analyst/investor day that's scheduled at the NASDAQ market site that Tuesday. From my perspective, I think that the news and the information that's going to be released that day is going to be market-moving news. I really believe that. So is it going to take information that's released on December 12th to really ignite shares of this company? Maybe. Is it going to take us having a Q4 2023 that is cash flow positive? Maybe. Is it going to take the price of Bitcoin getting to $50,000, $60,000, maybe $80,000 a coin for sentiment to shift a bit to the point where it's like, hey, wait a minute, Stronghold Digital Mining has 4 exahash of Bitcoin mining capacity, not just capacity in the sense of like hypothetical, hey man, we could maybe do 4 exahash. No, we're actually doing it. We're plugged, all these machines are plugged in and we're hyper optimizing these machines thanks to our friends at Frontier Mining to get the most out of them, to get the biggest bang for our buck. I mean, we've spent as a company tens upon tens of millions of dollars on Bitcoin mining machines, right? We're going into this next, Bitcoin bull cycle fully loaded. We're fully loaded. Our data centers are jam-packed with some of the best Bitcoin mining machines money can buy. Hey, the grid wants to throw some wackadoodle grid prices out there. We've got 165 megawatts locked and loaded and ready to deploy to the grid to help stabilize the grid, right? That's a win for the grid. It's a win for me. I want the lights to stay on. I live in the PJM PPNL zone of the grid, which is serviced by our friends over at Panther Creek, right? There are people out there who live in PJM Penelec, which is the zone of the grid that is serviced by scrubgrass, right? So, hey, there's a vested interest in these mine waste power generating facilities to be able to sell electricity into the grid. Now, the win for shareholders, right, for those of us who are co-owners of Stronghold Digital Mining, is potentially windfall profits, as we saw at the end of 2022 when Winter Storm Elliott, over the course of several days, helped usher in grid prices that were utterly mesmerizing. Like $1,000+ grid prices. Unreal. Totally unreal. Not saying that's going to be a repeat this year, but I'm starting to see signs of cold weather, and it appears as if though cold weather is the kryptonite, it seems, for natural gas power plants. At least that seems to have been the case last year. So I think that we are seeing a sea change. I think that we are seeing the beginning of a real bull run, not just in the price of Bitcoin, but ultimately in shares of Stronghold Digital Mining. Now, it's not going to be a straight line. There are going to be some setbacks here and there. There's going to be some consolidation, right? Weaker hands are going to sell their shares. They're going to sell their Bitcoin and say, hey, I'm going to take a profit. Hey, I'm up. I made a couple $1,000 on Bitcoin. Great. I would encourage anybody who's thinking that short term to consider what it's going to feel like if Bitcoin's at 100,000, 120,000. You're like, man, what was I thinking? Similarly, with shares of Stronghold Digital Mining, hey, we're at $5.15 today. What happens if we're at $20 a share, $30 a share, $50 a share? So think at least twice before you decide to sell. I can't give you investment advice. If you haven't picked up any shares at all, you got to make a decision. You want to be in on this ride or not? Because I do think the train is probably leaving the station sooner rather than later. And today may have been that first whistle, so to speak, coming from the train saying all aboard. And I don't know how many more chances you may get to heed that call to hop aboard. Just saying. Okay, with all of that said, let's stay positive, let's be great, and we'll see each other again next week.